I totally get it.
But was that true? Did you get it when you read it the first time? Did you have any idea?
I got it the 7th time, maybe. I had to read it 6 or 7 times. Well, as an actor, you have to know the material. Even if it's not what the material is, it's important for you to know where you're coming from and what you're thinking and what it's about. And so I did create kind of this kind of backstory about him, which ended up being worked into the movie. But for how many of you are Donnie Darko fans? All right. So, being Donnie Darko fans, did you know that my first appearance in the movie is not my face? It's in the very beginning when I drop Samantha Darko off, and you hear this honking and the jet engine falls through the house. I'm in the red car who dropped her off. I'm the one honking as that jet engine is falling. But you never see my face, you only see the car. So in that essence, I'm in that movie from the beginning to the end. Every time Samantha Darko is on the phone, she's speaking to me, to Frank. Frank is his sister's boyfriend. So that's for the people who are Donnie Darko fans that didn't know that. And for the ones that aren't Donnie Darko fans, now you know.
That's pretty cool. So, what was it that appealed to you about the part? Because it's basically, you're in a movie about time travel and you're going to be wearing a bunny suit 90% of the time. So what was it that, oh, fuck's sake, here we go again. You should try, Harley Quinn's giving us bad milk. You should try this.
Are you kidding me? I'll try this, please.
You're going to take 2? Because I'm gonna go for it. I'm going to do it. What's in it, Harley? Bad stuff. Okay. I'm going to be able to handle that. So this is bad milk. There's something with this alcohol in there somewhere. It's kind of bluish as well, so I don't know.
Blue milk. You know how long I've waited for this blue milk? 35 years. But like I wasn't even alive back then. I was waiting for my blue milk. He's drinking.
I'm going for it.
He's going for it.
Come on, man. Join me. You can't. This day is getting weirder by the minute. I don't know if anyone saw the Dirk Benedict one, but that was kind of insane, but it's getting better. This is good.
That's what we're here. We're here to get crazy. Who's getting crazy with me today at the Comic Con? We are, yes! That's what we came here to do. To have a great time. So
all the girls, show their tits.
Shut your mouth, come on. You want to see Jimmy's gone crazy?
There we go. There's a second milk for you.
2! I got 2!
What a bunny suit. Is that like, how many times have you seen yourself on a Comic Con when you were like hanging around? How many times have you actually seen that suit being worn by people?
It's kind of, I gotta be honest, anytime I see one, it's kind of really amazing to me because for me, we didn't expect that kind of reaction for the movie. I did the movie and the first thing I thought was, wow, this is like a great modern day version of the Twilight Zone, but a movie.
Yeah.
So that's exactly how I saw it. I'm a massive Twilight Zone fan. So that helped me kind of, because I was looking at it like the Twilight Zone, and believe it or not, the director's a massive Twilight Zone fan. So when I started to look at the Twilight, it was a Twilight Zone episode, then it started to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because you know in the Twilight Zone, things are not, anything that's straight is not straight anymore. There's nothing linear about it.
Yeah. But did you have any idea that it was going to become what it was? Because what was the original reception? It was,
okay,
it just came out?
That's a great question, because like when we see movies today, you hear like, oh, Star Wars came out, it made $200 million in 5 hours. And you're like, that's amazing. Donnie Darko came out and we made $500,000 in 2 different runs. We couldn't even bust $1 million. Nobody, 50 people came to our movie. I think only 50 people saw it. But what was kind of really magical, to be honest about it, is we live in a day and age of social media, promotion, self-promotion. It's all about what we promote and putting ourselves out there. So Donnie Darko, not only did it have 0 promotion, but it was literally one of the few movies I know of in existence where it's because of you fans who said, I saw this really weird movie, I don't know, but you need to watch it. And that's what gave Donnie Darko, I think, the life that it had.
Yeah.
Because it came out and we were all very, very disappointed that nobody saw the movie. And we figured nobody liked it. And we didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, so what I really loved about it too is that it really captures that 80s thing as well, because it's got like that vibe of the like late 80s, early 90s, where all this...
Well, you know, I'm going to age myself right now, but I went to high school in the 80s.
Yeah, because you're from 1972 as well, right?
Yeah.
We're as old as each other, so this is what happens when you live a healthy life. This is what happens when you don't. So look at the fucking difference. The guy's just as old as I am. This is.
I think I've got it.
Because you're a yoga guy as well, aren't you? No,
I do that. Yeah, I got in a car accident on the way to the Matrix 2 audition. I was auditioning for the Matrix, and
Keanu Reeves got it. I'm sorry.
And I got in a car accident, and I got in a car accident on the way, and the car accident kind of injured my back pretty badly. So I had to drop out of acting for almost a year because I couldn't function. And chiropractors and acupuncture, whatever, like medication, nothing was helping. And finally someone goes, try yoga. I'm like, I don't want to do yoga. But at this point, if I can do something that will help me sleep, that will get rid of the pain, I'll do it. And not only did it get rid of the pain, it healed me. And then in my 30s, I became stronger than I ever was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Same thing now in my 40s. So, you know, I credit it for having a significant impact on my health over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, because you teach it as well, don't you?
I used to teach it, and I still can. At the studios, like I work, you know, I've been fortunate, so I've been working a lot. And working a lot, I can't teach a regular studio class.
Yeah.
So I had to drop out of the studio as a regular teacher a few years back. But I still practice in the studio, and I do privates once in a while.
Okay. Now, you said something interesting before what I thought was cool, was you said, I don't know what it really means, Donnie Darko, but I know what it means to me. So what did you mean when you say that? What does it mean to you? When you read it, what resonated with you? What was the thing that you thought was cool about it?
Well, you know, it's like a lot of people have a very complex idea about it. And I can tell you, I can sum up Donnie Darko in one word.
Okay.
And you're going to be shocked when I say it. This is what Donnie Darko is about. Donnie Darko is about love. That's what it's about.
All the girls went, oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, the guys like it.
Did you hear
but
that?
if you think about it, Donnie leaves the house because his jet engine crashes. Why would he ever, in his right mind, we know the universe is ending, but he goes back at the end of the movie to sit down and lay in that bed to take that jet engine to save Gretchen, who he fell in love with and finally lost his virginity to, his mother, his father, his sisters, everybody that he's known. In fact, towards the end of the movie, Donnie Darko truly becomes what I believe to be a superhero. You know, so at one point, you know, he's walking with Gretchen, and she says, to Donnie Darko, what kind of name is that? You think he's some kind of superhero or something? And he looks at her and he smiles. He goes, what makes you think I'm not? And at the end of the movie, he saves the world. He saves the universe. So he's essentially that superhero. But why did he do that? He did it because he fell in love with Gretchen. You know, he's trying to kiss her. She's like, I don't want to kiss you here. There's a chocolate smoker watching us. And then they go back to the classroom scene, and the police are there, like, didn't your dad, like, stab your mom? She runs out, and she's going to cry. And all that Donnie wants to do when he finds her, he runs out, and he just wants her to be okay. And he goes, I'm going to cry, tell him. But he goes, and he grabs her and says, I'm so sorry. And she kisses him for the first time. And she kissed him because that was the moment for her that she needed. It wasn't about sex. It wasn't about anything other than he truly cared about her feelings and her emotions, and it was something that penetrated physical reality. And in that sense, when you penetrate something physical into the deeper realms of the self, you're dealing with love. As much as people don't want to use that word. And so in that sense, I kind of thought, not only is Donnie Darko about love, but it kind of gives love a good name. So love can be like Donnie Darko.
My God, that must be the most beautiful description of the movie I've ever heard. I think that deserves a hand. Jesus. Did you think? I never knew it was about that.
It's about love, yeah. You know, when she
I thought it
first...
was about a guy in a bunny suit going, the world is coming to an end. I was like,
Darko, that's a great name. I wish that was my name.
6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds.
Yeah, that's really...
That is when the world
he's doing it.
Remember the 5th of November. Wait, wrong movie. Sorry.
Yeah, you had the mask on. Nobody knew it was you. Supposed to be Keanu Reeves, but turned out to be you.
It's supposed to be Keanu, yes. I don't know. Somehow I finally got one role from him.
It's another thing that maybe people don't know about you, but you shared a scene with Mark Hamill.
I share a whole movie with Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sushi Girl?
Did a movie called Sushi Girl, and it's got Mark Hamill, you know, Luke Skywalker. It's got Noah Hathaway, a trade from the Never-Ending Story. It's got Tony Todd, the Candyman. It's got Danny Trejo. It's got Michael Biehn. It's got Sonny Chiba, for any of you old martial arts fans out there. So it had a lot of legendary actors. If you haven't got a chance to see it, watch it. It's very violent and very grotesque. I think you'll enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.
And what was it like being in a movie with all those guys? I mean, did you hear a lot of their stories, or was it like...
Oh yeah, I've heard some of the best stories. I mean, you couldn't...
Give us some dirt. No, I don't mean bad.
I was like, okay, which one would I start with first?
Sonny Chiba, what was he like?
Sonny Chiba, let me tell you something about this man. He's about 78. So he's 78 years old. They bring him out, and he's kind of moving like this. They hand him this samurai sword, real samurai sword, as a gift. And he takes the samurai sword. He's kind of like Julian Glover in Game of Thrones, where he's like moving like this, and then all of a sudden, you know, he does this when he wants. So Sonny Chiba was kind of doing this, and they gave him the sword, and all of a sudden he's like back flipping. Like he didn't flip, but he started moving like a 20-year-old man. And that freaked me out, yeah. Sonny Chiba is... I'm going to tell you something. If Sonny Chiba was here today and he was in the middle of this, he could beat all of us up.
Not much has changed then. And Mark Hamill, what was that like?
Mark is a phenomenal guy.
Is he like not everybody's hero, basically, when they're like a kid who grow up?
You know, it was interesting because, you know, when we did Sushi Girl, they didn't know they were doing 7, 8, and 9. Well, Mark knew, but he couldn't talk about it. Because him and Carrie had met with George the summer before. But for all intents and purposes, Star Wars had ended with the prequels. So when we sat there, you know, here's some dates. We sat there for the first few days, and it was an 18-day shoot. So every day it was myself, Mark Hamill, Tony Todd, Noah Hathaway, Andy McKenzie, and David Dasmalchian. And for the first 2 days, everyone was in awe. It's Mark Hamill. No one talk about Star Wars. Finally, Tony Todd, you know, 6'8" Tony Todd, in the middle of right before shooting a scene after 2 days, goes, "So Mark, how come you don't like talking about Star Wars?" At that moment, the director, all the actors, all 40 of the crew were like, and we all held our breath like a movie for about 10 seconds. Is he going to walk off set? Is he going to be mad at us? What's he going to do? And then Mark, yeah, well, you know, I guess you could just say I'm just like, I'm just not really a big fan of the movies. And you go, oh, okay, no big deal. Then everyone kind of nods and understands. No one has any Star Wars questions anymore. But 15 minutes later, and for the rest of the shoot, Mark was telling Star Wars stories.
You just had to set him off.
Oh, it was amazing. He's such a good person. But, you know, not only that, when you're working with, like, your favorite, for me, like, my heroes, and people I grew up, like, I told Mark, you know, and I'll tell you guys, I'm part of the reason I became an actor is because of him. So if you don't like me, blame him. Because that's reason.
Who are your other inspirations? Who are guys that wanted you, when you saw them, you were like, I want to be an actor, I want to do this?
Mark Hamill was one, believe it or not, Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters.
Okay.
That movie, I saw that when I was 6, so I was thinking, oh, UFOs, and then halfway through the movie as a 6-year-old, it's like, ah, I'm scared. So that's what it got. So it had a profound effect on me at a very young age. But, the other was, of course, Harrison Ford. But I love it. You know, one of my favorite movies of his is Blade Runner.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to that sequel.
Yeah, because speaking of sequels, by the way, did I hear this right? Is there going to be a Donnie Darko sequel, like a real one? Or?
The real one may happen finally.
Yeah.
They did a sequel. Richard Kelly did not write it. He did not sanction it. He wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
In fact, he brought them to court to stop it. And he lost the court
That was
case.
the Samantha Darko movie, right?
That was the S. Darko.
Yeah.
He tried to stop it in court and he lost.
Yeah.
Because he signed the rights away to put the movie out in the theater. So he was obviously very outspoken about he's not happy about it at any level, but he realized after all this time that there was actually a story that he could tell. And that story that he can tell has nothing to do with S. Darko.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be one of the first times you'll see a sequel to a movie being made that completely discounts the sequel before because it had nothing to do with the original creator.
All right. Cool. Are you going to be in it?
I haven't spoken to him about that. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the history of his sequel is, but for all you Donnie Darko fans, if you went onto the website right after the movie came out, they explain what happens. They give you my last, like, you can find out Frank's last name, you can find out what happened to every single, so Drew Barrymore's character, Noah Wiley's character, what happened to everybody after Donnie Darko. The website explains that, but then the website's not up anymore. So the reason why we never did a sequel is because as far as the website was concerned, the sequel would have been called Final Destination. Because they were related to Donnie in some way, and he changed the universe, we all died. Strange, everyone. But with his new idea for a sequel, he can either stay with that and move on to where the jet engine comes from. Because you know that Donnie Darko is set in '88, but what most people don't know is that jet engine comes from 1992. And we never answer that in the movie.
Yeah.
But that jet engine is from the future. So that sequel, I would imagine, would be directly connected and related to the jet engine from 1992, about it falling and disappearing and what happened in that reality, in that time period. So the only thing that would really connect it to Donnie Darko, the original, is the jet engine falling and dropping back in time.
All right. It's kind of reminding me of that conversation we just had where Doc would ride up in the DeLorean.
Oh, that's heavy, Doc. Oh, there's that word heavy again, Marty. Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in 1985?
1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts!
Made a time machine out of the DeLorean.
Oh, Doc, in a time machine, out of a DeLorean.
Great Scott, Marty.
Yeah. One of my
You say,
favorite.
I finally invented something that works!
Yeah, that was the best one. That was the best one. When he finally, because the first time he's in the movie when he's back in 1955, I love that part where he knocks on the door kind of half opens and you hear like, and he has that huge thing on his head.
Don't say a word!
All right, cool. The first movies I ever saw you in personally was the Gregoraki trilogy.
That's how I started acting, was Greg Araki. Met him in a cafe.
How did that come about? Because they're like they're a bit like a trilogy, pretty fucked up and Doom Generation and Nowhere. Yeah.
It was interesting, at the time when I met him, independent film was different than what it is now. So I was hanging out in a cafe drinking coffee. I just got out of high school. I was looking for a job, and I found this cafe. I made friends with the guys that gave me free coffee all day, which is great. So I was poor, and I always used to see Greg Araki in the same cafe drinking coffee. And I thought this was great. When I saw him, because even though he's 10 years older than me, he looks my age. So I thought, well, this is really a great place to be. You have this kid who's always doing his homework, who's actually writing a script, and then you have me, who's like a bum. And we can both hang out in the same spot and it's okay. And one day this kid that I thought was doing his homework in high school came over and just says, I'm a director, I make these little movies, you have a very interesting look, not what Hollywood normally uses. And I like that. Are you an actor? Would you be interested in acting? I would like to have you come in and audition for my movie. So of course I said, yeah. Yeah, and then I went on, I got the script, I read it was crazy. and I'd never read a screenplay before. But I was really taken by it. There was something about that movie I connected with. And you know what it is? I connect with all those characters in the film in the sense that there's this impending, especially when you're very young, the sense of impending doom, like the world's always going to end. And I felt that. I lived it.
Yeah.
And so when I read the script, I'm like, wow, this is like my real life.
Because the Doom Generation and Nowhere, they have like two of the most fucked up endings I've ever seen.
Except for that part's not like real
Well,
life.
that part, hopefully not.
Yeah.
I don't know, did people see the Doom Generation over here? Yeah, because there's a bit at the end that hurts every man that's ever watched it.
Oh, it still hurts me.
Yeah, probably. It's still a hard scene to watch where a bunch of neo-Nazi kind of guys cut his balls off with a huge pair of garden shears.
Yeah, we're not going to get into politics here, but I can tell you that when we made the
Don't
movie in the
start about
90s...
Donald Trump.
Oh, no, we're talking about the 90s.
There before.
No, we're not going to talk about that right now. Everyone's tired of hearing about that. But what we can say is the three Nazis were actually named George, Dan, and Pat. And for people in America in the 90s, our leaders, when he wrote the script before Clinton got elected, was George Bush, Dan Quayle, you can remember that man who knew nothing.
The guy who spelled potato with an E?
Yeah, and Pat Buchanan. So those three horsemen of the apocalypse were named after them, George, Dan, and Pat. So that's who is castrating the youth of America. Any idea or inkling or notion for us as children, as developing adults, to break out of the norm, to find ourselves, to experiment, to try to figure out who we are and what we're doing. That's what those movies are actually really about. And also making fun of the mainstream and making fun of anybody that tells us that we need to live a certain way, we need to be a certain way. Because we don't. The only thing that we have to remember, and I think ultimately, I'm going to take it heavier than Greg doesn't say this, but there was this amazing scientist, and I grew up loving science, it's part of the Donnie Darko things, like quantum mechanics and string theory and physics. I'm a big fan of that. But something that Carl Sagan had said before he passed away, he built those space probes that flew out, took pictures of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. First probes we had, we sent them out of the solar system. And when we passed Neptune, when Voyager 1 passed Neptune, Carl Sagan asked them to turn that satellite around and take a picture of Earth. And when they turned that satellite around at the edge of the solar system, you saw all these white dots, all these stars. One of those stars was blue. And so Carl Sagan said, and he's right, everyone that has ever lived, everyone that will ever live, everything you know, everything you've experienced, all exists on that pale blue dot. So that should set things into perspective, that we should live a certain way or be a certain way, because it's not. All we have to remember is that we all share this place together. And that this is one place and we're actually one people. So in that sense, that's kind of what even though it's strange, that's what those movies were about.
You keep saying these beautiful things, it's unbelievable.
Remember, the 5th of November.
And you ruined it.
And the gunpowder and treason plot. I know of no reason gunpowder and treason
should ever be forgot. What's your favorite of the two? The director's cut or the original Donnie Darko?
So that's a great question, because I get this question a lot, but I'm going to tell you guys something, and as fans you have the right to go out and ask for this, and I'm going to tell you should. When we finished the movie, we screened the world premiere at a film festival called Sundance Film Festival. And the Sundance Film Festival cut is 10 minutes longer than what came out, but it's 10 minutes shorter than the director's cut. So there's a third cut of the movie out there.
Okay.
That is the best cut of the movie.
And that's not been...
It's not released.
It's not released? Okay.
That's what you
Why is it the best cut? Why do you like it the best?
Maybe because I saw it first, but I thought that it answered enough questions that it wasn't so vague, but it didn't answer everything. So it left things open, which is, I think, the important thing about Donnie Darko, our movies and music in general. What does it mean? It can mean something different to each of us, but at the same time, none of us are wrong. None of us. Because we have a different way of looking at things. And so that was the idea for Rich Kelly. And I know Jake Gyllenhaal, they say the same thing. If you ask them today what the movie's about, they still don't know. You're going to have to ask me.
I think we're going to do some Q&A. If there's people that have any questions for James, now would be the time. So does anyone have a question? Hello.
Don't be shy. Don't bite unless you want me to.
He's actually really nice. No, so you have questions? Those girls have been looking at you all the time like, oh my God, he's so cute. But you have a question? Is there something going to happen? Okay, cool. We have a question.
Actually, it's not me who asked the question. It's my friend.
Okay. What's the question? Okay. Charita, what's up with her? What does she symbolize?
Sharita symbolized the potential in all of us. I was a Sharita Chen when I was in high school, believe it or not. I was made fun of, I was teased, I was beat up, I looked different. Who we are as children is not necessarily who we are as we grow up, develop, and change. And Sharita is still very young. So she represents a character that she represents the everyday person. She represents all of us. Believe it or not. That's what she represents.
So you're going to have to type that all down for the guy that asked the question.
It's very simple. Yeah,
It's very, very simple. Oh, this is one I always wanted to ask. What became of Patrick Swayze after the movie? Supposedly his character, because he's like the self-improvement guy that ends up having a basement full of kiddie porn.
Yeah, he goes to jail. He gets arrested and goes to jail.
And does he die in a horrible way as well because the universe changes? Did he ever find out what happened to him?
I don't remember reading anything about him, but I think it's pretty clear that after he gets arrested, there's nothing good that happens in that man's life. Because you know what they do to children, you know what they do to pedophiles in jail. At least in America, they kill them.
Yeah.
So if he goes to jail like that and they find out, they will kill him in jail.
They send the Punisher to get him.
Yes, that's exactly what they do.
Or Gambit. Your eyes are scary, man. I'm sorry. You just keep staring at us like what the fuck is up with that guy?
That's what we tell them as part of your charm.
Any more? Any more questions for James? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So you said that the jet fell from 1990.
1992.
But in the final scene, you see Donnie's parents and sisters in the airplane, and the airplane starts shaking. And like I always thought that kind of.
You think it is, but it's not that plane. The engine actually comes from a different time. And part of that is, you know the serial number that's on the engine? They can't find it in the movie. They never find the serial number. It's because it doesn't exist yet. Because that engine doesn't exist yet. So it is seem vague, but once you explain it or you show it in that fashion, then it becomes like my hair. I got goosebumps!
Any more questions? Yeah, okay.
I was wondering if you still believe in coincidence events or more in like universe connected?
Of course I do. I believe, I think it's a very interesting question. It's a very good question because coincidence and fate could be considered the same thing. You know, I was talking about physics earlier. I'm a big fan of physics, quantum mechanics, and string theory. And wow, you all look so different like this. But so, as I was saying, it has to do with sort of an order and chaos in the universe. The universe has a certain amount of chaos and it has a certain amount of order, but it's always in balance. And only when you take that out of balance would you tear the fabric of space and time, thus changing the universe and the reality of everything that we know that exists. And so it would work the same way with chance or coincidence or fate. You could think of fate as order and chance or coincidence as being chaos. And so they actually both exist. You know, you have this balance. You know, this might just be more of like my philosophy, but I like to find the balance of it. Everything has a balance, you know. So, I was just talking a little earlier about me doing yoga, and yoga is about searching for the balance. So believe it or not, at one point, I stopped drinking, and I stopped smoking, and I stopped doing everything, and my yoga teacher came up to me, he's like, Jimmy, why don't you have a drink? I was, wait a minute, my yoga teacher's like, he's like, yeah, but now you're not doing anything. So you have the teeter-totter in balance. Now you walk over to the other side, and he's like, you're out of balance. It's okay to have a drink. Okay, if you have 12 drinks in the morning, then you might have a problem coming in to do this yoga class. So that being said, but it's like anything else. If you eat too much sugar, you risk diabetes or a heart attack. So everything, if you take too much vitamin C, you can get vitamin C poisoning. So even the things that are good for us are damaging in large amounts. So in understanding this balance, not only with those things, but everything in life, you start to see it, it's kind of like,